what it does is it allows you to thrive, not just survive. And what we want is for the industry to move with what the clients want, because if we don't, it's going to be swallowed up as an industry. And so it's important that we are adapting and pivoting and moving towards what clients want from us as an industry and demands from us. Otherwise, they're not buying.
Hey, and welcome back to the Difference Maker Revolution podcast. And we have Jonathan, we have Steve, and I'm here too. And we're so excited. This is one of our favorite subjects. So, how to future-proof your business in an AI world. Wow.
Scary AI.
Before we begin, Ronan, I have to ask, who's I'm? I haven't met I'm yet.
Oh, who? Me?
No, you said I'm is here too. Who's I'm?
I'm here too. I've changed my name by deed poll. I know I'm Ryle.
Right.
We can blame AI on Jono's generation, can't we?
We can. So, Jonathan, what are you most excited about AI when you look at our industry, when you look at the possibilities for our clients?
That's a really good question. So what can you layer that for me next time? So I guess one thing that I've been finding that's really useful is, and I was actually late coming to the AI party, but one thing I find is that if I want to it's hard to start things with a blank slate, with a plain white piece of paper, document, or whatever. So I find it's a really good trigger for, coming up with initial ideas and concepts for things. So especially with marketing. So when it comes to, asking questions about understanding who your avatar is, and it's interesting. So, I was always aware of this idea of an avatar, but until started talking to Steve, and Steve, really showed me what an avatar actually is. Now I'm struggling to write ad copy or review landing pages or write emails or write anything without Steve saying, Jono, this is this is the avatar, right? Without really considering deep down the avatar. So I think it's really useful for helping.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, Jono? I'm trying to work it out.
It's a great thing.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's really useful to help understand that avatar, and we'll talk more about how we've helped you with that in a minute. I think it's really useful with then writing copy for your ads. It's really useful for writing content for your emails, for your website, for your blog posts, it's even really useful for helping to come up with compelling questions to ask on your discovery calls. So
for those people who don't know what an avatar is, maybe clear that up first, so then that way they get what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you need to do that.
I need to do that. Oh, I'm checking to see how much you've actually learned, or whether you just become dependent on me, Jono.
Imagine that.
It's the blue man, surely.
It's the guy in the film.
It's funny. You should say that, Steve and Jonathan, about this avatar thing, because often when I see photographers say, "Oh, I've got my avatar done," it's always just the demographics, what they earn, where they live, what car they drive. It's all around that stuff, and they think they've got their avatar done.
What car they drive is irrelevant. Really, it doesn't change the mind. It doesn't affect the mindset of the person. It doesn't define who they are. Okay, so an avatar is one of, not the only, one of the people that you love to jump out of bed and go to work and work with. And it clearly defines the qualities of that person, what this person tends to say they want. We've stepped into their shoes and thought about what they secretly want. It's also clearly defining the type of language that this person uses, what they tend to be looking for, secretly wanting out of a photographic experience from us. And clearly defining and thinking about who's attached to that, tends to be attached to that avatar. Does that person tend to have like grandparents? Because that's an opportunity. Do they own a business? Because that then changes the way that perhaps we would work with that person. We may include a few photographs that they could potentially use for business and entice them to be using some of their family photos to market with, to show their clients that they're just like them.
So, Steve, I have a question for you.
Okay.
And we're missing one of our amazing mentors today. We're missing Janine, right?
Janine.
But I did witness recently where you did a discovery call with Janine, right? So let's just paint a picture for people just of all about Janine. So you talked about what their state they want, right? So Janine has a daughter, Erin, who's graduating high school. And Janine's stated desire would have been, I need photographs of Erin, right?
Well, she's a high school senior. So her stated desire, if she was to call to say, I need senior photos.
Yes, I need senior photos. Exactly. So when you did the discovery call, like what was Janine's secret desire?
Janine's secret desire is to know that she's done a good job as a mother. Her secret desire is to know that she has a relationship with her daughter still, and that cold facade that teenagers
Tell me about it. 4 of them.
That cold facade that teenagers put up when that door is locked with a keep out sign on it, isn't who they are, really, and that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But Janine, as an avatar, also has a younger son. And so she has a fear that Erin leaving as a senior is going to impact her son and he's going to miss her. And so knowing that it changes the whole dynamics of this session, because what she really secretly wants is not just senior photos with Erin, but also wall art that represents what Erin means to her son, James. Potentially wall art of them together. And we had a conversation afterwards on the phone, and she absolutely, after the conversation, wants to have something in James's room of potentially them together, because she knows he's going to miss him deeply. And her other biggest fear are those nights when she's by herself. James is in bed, she's sitting on the couch, and the house is going to feel empty.
So she wants Erin in that room, right? She wants Erin in that room with her while she's sitting on the couch. So
really understanding your avatars kind of guides the questions that you want to ask. Now, Janine's avatar, I wrote the Janine avatar. I don't know whether you saw that. I wrote the Janine avatar, and Janine said that she was in tears writing it because she can't believe how spot on. I wrote about the fact that Tim, who is Janine's partner, not the father, also desperately wants to connect with Erin. And he's late on the scene, but wants Erin to know that he's going to be there for her mum, and not to be in the shoot, not to be in the session, but to support them through that, and potentially help her through that time. And so he's also an influence in that. So understanding your client type and knowing what they are. Now, there's grandparents too. It's not going to be part of this session, but these are the future opportunities. So Janine, the Janine avatar is an entrepreneur, businesswoman, successful, 2 children. One is a senior student leaving for college, is divorced, has a partner. And so the future opportunities are to create a branding session for her in the future. So this is why one client should become 3 or 4. There's the opportunity for a branding experience for her to go in and really help her lift her brand and help her as an entrepreneur. But also now that she's a potential empty nester, and she has Tim as a partner to, in the future, do a session just of Tim and Janine would mean the world to her. And she was in tears, when I suggested it, because she does want to do that. And so then there's not just the product we need to be photographing for on the day of that session, but also, it needs to be an expanded session in this case than just a senior portrait where, she's brought her pom-poms in and whatever musical instrument she plays. It's more meaningful, and there's a flow on, and the heritage is Italian. Like when she comes back in the spring, when she comes back in the fall, a session with grandma, she's already said she wants to do that too.
Can I just add to that? So her heritage is Italian and Irish, just to be certain.
Oh.
It's 50-50. So,
is it? Well, the Italian overshadows the Irish. I didn't know about that part of it.
so Jonathan, I want to give you what I see a lot of high school senior photographers doing, right? And then I want you to tell the audience, right, from the photographer who learns what Steve has just talked about and delivers that experience to their client, and where I'm going to explain to you who has to fear AI and who doesn't have to fear AI, okay? So here's what I see with high school senior photographers a lot, right? They make it about the high school senior being photographed in various different outfits, in various different locations, for various different looks, right? They sell the high school senior all these images for the high school senior to put on social media. And then they hit the parents over the head with a hammer to say, when you buy an album of these, right, we will include the digital sphere high school senior. Now, if you think about that, and if you think about the high school senior, to even get them to turn up, right? If that high school senior can take a photo of themselves, upload it to AI and say, I want to be seen in all these different locations, in all these different outfits, in all these different things, right?
And can you add a smoke machine?
Yes, you can. How are you going to get
Can you do that with AI? Can you add the smoke machine?
How are you going to get a high school senior to even turn up for the parents? Now, Jonathan, who doesn't have to fear AI? The photographer who's trained with Steve, or the high school senior photographer I've just described?
Well, with us, not just Steve. This is a team. This is a team.
The difference make a revolution. We're talking to it more. That's why that our audience understand, right?
Okay.
So the photographer who learns what Steve has talked about, or the example that I've given of a high school senior photographer. Who has to fear AI more, and who doesn't have to worry about AI at all?
Do I really have to answer that question? Isn't it obvious? Like, if you focus on the photos and like the looks and the background and all that crap, AI is going to eat your lunch. You're gone.
Yeah, but those high school senior photographers genuinely believe they're delivering an experience to their client, and that's what it's about. But it's not.
It was.
Consumer.
It used to be. It used to be different backgrounds, painted backgrounds. I've worked with studios on 5 acres that had different sets built. There was the oil barrels, the hay shed, the beach with the boat on it, the pond, the lilies, the train with train tracks, the 1930s fire truck. It goes on and on and on. And it's all background. And the problem is these days, AI can just create all that for you. And if there's no emotional attachment and there's no real experience, and we're not giving our clients a way to reconnect at this crucial time of their lives, right? Potential empty nesters, one of their children's leaving the nest. It's a crucial time of their lives. If we're not giving them the opportunity to reconnect and to say those things that they haven't been given the space to say before, because that's what we're doing. We're giving them the space to do that and permission to do that. Then that's where the value is. That's where we can't be replaced. And that's where the biggest sales come. That's why they want wall art. And the opposite is why they only want files with that. It's not meaningful enough for them to want to display on their wall or to create a photo box.
So what are you saying? Like, I know we're talking about future-proofing our businesses here. So are we saying that what we have to do to be able to do that is to ask, have conversations with people to discover what's actually truly important to them? Or what's the solution?
I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's about having a genuine interest and genuine care about who this person is that you've connected with and that you're going to photograph, and understanding and taking an interest in their life, wanting to walk in their shoes for a short period of time so you can understand what they're feeling and allow them to believe in themselves again. Like that avatar of Janine, and Janine, what she needs is to know that Erin's going to be okay, right? And that she's done a good job, and that no matter what, nobody's going to influence her or sway her from what she believes in.
And can I give you the other side of this, Jonathan? So you asked a question about, so like, what are the choices? So photographers up to now have had a choice to some degree, right? Where there was possibly an opportunity, and some have, made a living out of the superficial stuff that I talked about, right? But here's the thing, right? You don't have a choice anymore. Because if that's what you make it about, if you make it about the superficial stuff, AI is going to eat your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner.
Yeah.
So we believe that the industry's at a pivotal moment. It has to decide, and where there may have been some sort of choice before, I think that choice is rapidly disappearing with AI.
I think people are feeling the effects already. And luckily, we've been testing and trying and building the systems well before COVID. And I was working with senior photographers, and we found that the sales quadrupled when we did it this way, because people were buying multiple pieces of wall art and they wanted to buy more. And so we were doing it as a way to connect people. But now it's become something that is almost essential in order to survive in the industry. But what it does is it allows you to thrive, not just survive. And what we want is for the industry to move with what the clients want, because if we don't, it's going to be swallowed up as an industry. And so it's important that we are adapting and pivoting and moving towards what clients want from us as an industry and demands from us. Otherwise, they're not buying.
We've seen it in our industry before, right? Like this, history repeats itself.
We don't want to be Blockbuster.
Yeah, and we don't want to be Kodak.
Yeah.
Like Kodak invented the digital camera and decided that they were just going to park it because they were making too much money from film and paper sales, right?
Mm.
And they ended up going bust, right? So you don't want to be the next Kodak or the next Blockbuster.
We want people to thrive.
So, Ronan, is AI the enemy?
No, AI is not the enemy for somebody who truly is a difference maker and who Steve has talked about. And in Difference Maker Revolution that we teach to all of our members, that AI can actually take all that transactional stuff that you do in your business, right? So editing, culling, retouching, even some of your marketing. AI can just take that away from you. Like I know of a photographer, a trainer who I met recently for breakfast, and he told me that he, with AI's help, can take a wedding where between 4,000 and 5,000 photos are taken and can do the cropping, culling, ready to present to the client with FaceTime on his computer of 30 minutes.
How long was it taking before? Did he say that?
I can only imagine. I can tell you this. He did say that he's an old man like me at this stage. So he said, there was actually a young wedding photographer.
But not as old as me, right? Is that what you're saying, Ronan?
That's right. There was a young photographer there, just finding his way in the industry. Lovely guy, right? And he turned to me and said, "You know what? If I was you, I would do weddings. And with this technology now, where technology is going, rather than doing one wedding a week, you can now do 5. You can do 5 days a week. And if you think about that, if you even just get $2,000 a wedding, which we know, right, you can get way more than that. But he said, even if you just get $2,000.
That's the deposit. That's what you're meaning, the deposit. Then all the added sales come afterwards, right?
But even for somebody who's just going to, I know that's all possible, Steve, but let's just say you even just get $2,000 a wedding, right? That's $10,000 a week. Like, this is a guy who loves photography, and he would have told you himself, like, he hasn't figured out how to make $2,000 yet. Like, he's starting his career, right?
Right.
So he was making the point that with this technology now, you get 5 weddings who pay you just $2,000 each, and we know it can be way more than that, and multiples of that. That's $10,000 a week to him. Yeah. What a start! He was, oh my gosh, like, his mind was blown.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question, John?
Yeah, I think so. I think the main takeaway is that when viewed correctly, AI is an opportunity to help us to become more efficient in our business.
Well, the biggest complaint most photographers have is they have no time. We're busy. We can't, they're going out of their minds because it's such a high-touch, labor-intensive industry. And AI can free up time where we can spend that time building relationships with our clients and really helping them find their value.
And I know, John, you said you were late to the AI party. I was pretty early, I guess, to the AI party. And you might remember, I don't know when it was, 14, 15 months ago, when I said AI can't hug your clients, right? And that's what Steve's talking about. But AI can release you time from the transactional stuff in your business so you can hug your clients more.
It's pretty sensational. We've got no excuse. We've got all this time now.
How exciting. So, Jonathan, future-proof your business. We started with identifying your client avatar and understanding your client and what an avatar is, and look at all the opportunities that come, and where AI can be a threat, where it's an opportunity. We're at a pivot point in the industry, and people are going to have to make a choice, because those who rely on transactional, as we call it, you're not going to last. AI is going to eat your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But how else can it help, John? From your perspective as a marketeer, like, how else can AI help you future-proof your business from a marketeer's point of view?
Apart from what I've discussed already?
Well, it can help write your ad copy, can't it?
Yeah.
Aren't we already doing that?
We talked about it can help you write your ad copy, write your emails, write your blog posts, your Facebook posts, create your avatar. We discussed all that, right?
Did we? Oh, I didn't realize we discussed that. I was obviously asleep for half this. I think you
At
think
the very beginning of the
You
podcast.
kind of hinted at it, Jono, but you never really said it, I don't think.
I think you got as far as the avatar, and what you're really telling us, John, is you got to know your avatar, because that's the foundation. So no matter whether it's an AI world or it's a non-AI world, right? If you're marketing, if you don't know who you're talking to, how can you market?
Yeah, so here's what I love. I love that before, like when I had to write a piece of ad copy using the ad copy formula, it maybe took an hour or 2 hours. Now I can take an avatar Steve's written, I can plug it into KCB, and I can write ad copy in minutes.
Who's this KCB thing? Who's that? Who's she?
You named her. Maybe you should explain.
So KCB, everybody, is our AI that we've built to help you guys. So we're on KCB 2.0 now. So in KCB 2.0, she's going to be more than twice as good as KCB as she currently
10
is.
times.
And we should have called her KCB 10.0 or 10x. That's what we should have called her, KCB 10x. So KCB 10x, because now she's been programmed with even better tools and capabilities with Steve's knowledge to create that client avatar, to help you create that client avatar. And that's the foundation. And then we've built the tools where you can create your social media posts and your ad copy and your emails and your blog posts and all that stuff just to fast track your marketing. Why? So you can spend more time hugging your clients. So we're so excited, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
Amazing. So Jonathan, how do I get an intro to KCB? What do I need to do? And where should I go?
Well, Ronan, to get an intro to KCB, you got to be in the inner circle, right? It's the only place you got to be, right? It's where you want to be, right? All the nodding heads. Look at that.
Of course, Jono.
Of course.
Yes.
So, the best place for not only to get an intro to KCB, but to basically elevate your business and your client's experience and take you and your client's experience to a new level is to be inside the inner circle. So not only do you get access to KCB, who's our AI marketing wizard, as Ronan has said, or KCB 10X, you also get access to the mentor team for weekly coaching calls, for weekly Q&A calls, to the inner circle community, to the incredible training courses that are going to help you to basically be successful, right?
And future-proof.
And future-proof your business. So where you want to be is you want to be inside the inner circle.
How do I get there?
Just click the link below. So simple.
That sounds easy. Yay! We'll see you on the inside, everybody. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
See you all soon.